everybody. Brenna here.
And I'm Gabby.
And this is the Mystery of Everything podcast. Woohoo!
You guys probably notice our little microphones. It's because the boom arms, both of them broke. So we're running with our Rode Wireless Pro. Wish us luck.
And that's not an advertisement. No, I'm just kidding.
It's actually not.
It's not.
I wish.
And I have to, if I talk obnoxiously loud, it's because I'm trying to talk normal. Because those of you that listened to the last episodes were probably thinking the audio maybe sounds a little weird. Because I had to go through and chop between mine and Gabby's voices because I guess I just like to whisper
You do.
during my episodes. Like some of it I was talking so quietly that even I couldn't recognize what I was saying while editing. So there's that. And we're going to try not to ramble as much in this episode because I was editing an hour and a half worth of footage for the Feral Children episode, which you can see all the footage in Patreon if you wish, because we're now doing Patreon exclusive episodes, which includes our rambling. So, regular episodes, chop out rambling. You hear it on podcast apps, YouTube. If you want our rambling, subscribe to our Patreon. Okay, so today's episode is about clones. The how, the why, the future.
Sorry if I zoned out, but yay, clown.
I always, whenever I type my episodes, I say, hello everyone, Brenna here. Like I type it. Why would I need to type that?
Just in case you forget.
Like I forget my intro. All right, so we're going to talk about the cloning of pets because it has become rather popular in today's day and age. I don't really know how I feel about it. Yeah, we're going to look into the science behind it, the morality behind it, and what cloning could mean for our future, as I already said. So I first got this idea, or this episode idea, because of a TikTok I saw where a woman cloned what she called her soul dog, and she described all the things that this company who cloned her dog sent her home with, which I feel her because, like, Scuba Steve, my cat that passed away, he was my soulmate. Genuinely. I feel like Booker has a piece of your soul. So, like, I do feel her. She had flown somewhere to retrieve the dog from my company called Viagen. So, of course, I got nosy and decided to research the company just to see how much money it would cost for one to clone their dog. And when you go to their website, you're met with the slogan, "The science of keeping love alive." It says, built on science, guided by compassion. At Viagen, animals aren't just pets, they're soulmates, lifelines, family. Saying goodbye doesn't have to mean letting go forever. So, that is a lot to unpack there. Them saying goodbye doesn't have to mean letting go forever is a dream. And, like, I can see the allure behind it because if I could keep, like, Scuba Steve with me forever, I would totally do it. But I also feel like it's kind of a false reality because death is inevitable and a pet shouldn't be a lifeline. Like, yeah, when Scuba passed, Gab can vouch for me. I got a little weird.
It was dire. I'm like, is she gonna make it? Like it was dicey for a little bit there.
Yeah, I was walking around. This was before I had Gus, so Scuba was like my reason to live. And like I was walking around work, I would just cry while working
Do you
all
still
day.
have the photo shoot pictures?
Yeah,
It
I
was
took a
like,
photo shoot with Scuba while he was dying of cancer. Um, it was a lot. I have his fur, I have his ashes in a necklace. Like when he passed away, I was kept crying and being like, I want to go be with him. And I
you
did.
did
Like,
keep saying that, and you wouldn't get out of bed, and I'm like, are you
yeah.
gonna
And I mean,
live?
like I was distraught. So if anyone can understand wanting to clone your pet, I get it.
Well,
But
my question, sorry,
you're fine.
is it the same pet? Because you know, nature versus nurture, like it's gonna have to grow up again.
That's
Different experiences.
yes, that is my whole point on this. So, like I said, if money could bring back Scuba Steve and I had the money to spend it, then honestly, I would totally do that. But I don't think that cloning your pet is bringing your pet back. It's bringing back a genetic copy of your pet, but with a different soul. And that gets into a whole nother thing too. Like, we're not going to dive into souls on this episode, but I don't know. We cover a lot in this about just because you're genetically you have the same makeup does not mean that you are the same being. We see that with identical twins.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, you're paying $50,000, which is a lot of money.
You can start a business with that.
Yeah.
Like I could probably open a Dunkin' franchise right there, so I don't have to drive all the way downtown.
Buy you some land.
That too, yeah.
Very
Probably
fancy vehicle. Gab's mind is going
coffee.
elsewhere.
I'm like coffee.
So, and yes, that animal looks just like your pet, but it is not your pet. I don't know. And that's my opinion. Like, what do I know? Well, I technically don't think it's my opinion. I don't think it's your pet. But, anyways, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of it. So, for this particular company, the cost of cloning your dog is $50,000 made in 2 installments. I will say that the person that made the TikTok discussing cloning, their dog was getting absolutely slaughtered in the comment section because of the price. Well, not their dog, them.
Yeah, because well, I don't know, just $50,000 is a lot. But I mean, if it made her
That's
feel
a
better and she has it to
I
spend.
was gonna say, so like whenever I was first writing this, part of me was like $50,000. How could you spend that on cloning her dog? And then another part of me is like, well, it's her money. She can literally spend it however she wants to. If she earned that money, she worked for it. If she wants to go outside in the yard and burn $50,000, she can
I
because
feel
it's her
like
money.
I hate how people police other people's money. That's why Steve and I
Hmm.
just do not ever talk about money online because also
Which
as a
is
creator,
valid.
people are like,
Yeah.
"Well, you only have that because of," which like yes, but also we had our like we owned our house before we ever did social media and we owned like our cars before we
I
got social
worked
media.
with them before. I mean, they had just started doing social media when I met Gab, but like, I think people forget that like Gabby is a scientist, worked in a lab as a scientist, and Steve also worked at our job too, doing regular jobs before
That's why like
they,
people who
yeah.
come online and do like hauls, Christmas hauls or like designer hauls, I'm like,
I
y'all are
couldn't do that.
asking to get
And I won't
roasted.
watch those either because I don't want to say I'm spiteful, but like, I don't want to see that
Yeah.
whenever
I
I'm.
don't want to see that either.
No, but respectfully, like I'm having to put back strawberries. I'm having to choose between do I want to get like formula, do I want to get strawberries? I can't buy chocolate muffins at Walmart. I don't want to see your $15,000 purse.
But I
Man,
feel like it's weird to police someone's money, especially if it's like
again,
a pet. Like people spend $30,000, $60,000 on Disney vacation packages, which is a timeshare. So there's worse ways to spend money.
and again, if you worked for it, who am I to say or to judge how you spend your money? Literally, you could burn it.
Judge
You
silently,
could
people.
you could pour it on a bed and roll around in it naked with I don't know.
Roll around naked with your money.
It's in. I've seen it in movies.
Don't you have OCD? Do you
I
know how
would.
many germs?
I know
are
there would be
gonna
so
be
many
there?
germs.
Ugh.
But if I had $1 million, would I care? Probably not. I could
Probably
afford
not.
doctors, so I roll all in that. Another thing that people were commenting on this woman's TikTok is about how many dogs there are in rescues and in shelters waiting to have homes. So they're like, oh, well, you could donate that $50,000 to shelters and yada, 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 which again is true. I do think like Gab's adopted both of her dogs from shelters, but Gabby's also not judging me that I did not get my dogs from shelters. I don't think you're judging me.
I don't really care where people get their dogs because
Yeah.
the way I see it is I always adopt my dogs from shelters, but the dogs that weren't in shelters also need a home or else they get abandoned. Like
Yeah.
if it's unethical or like just like a person who doesn't give a shit, they will just abandon that dog. Or even if they are an ethical breeder, they still need somewhere for that dog to go and now they're just stuck with like 500 dogs. I don't know. I
Mm.
don't judge why people get their animals. Again, it's not my life. And if I ever judged, it'll be internally. But I don't really care.
For those curious, for your cat, it also costs 50,000 to clone your cat in 2 installments. If you want to clone your horse, that'll cost 85,000. And now that I'm thinking about it, I can kind of understand cloning your horse maybe if you're like a professional horse racer or something, like Churchill Downs or the Kentucky Derby. Because like if you have this super fast horse, and then hypothetically speaking, it falls and like breaks its leg, and you have to put it down because that happens often, which is very sad. But
Yeah.
happens. Not saying it's right, but it happens. But you know that horse is a winning horse, so then you decide to clone it because like you know that they're gonna win because genetically speaking, it'll be the exact same. So you're gonna have a super fast horse, and someone should write a book about that and
Do
add in like an evil plot.
have they done it before?
Cloned it?
The horses.
I don't think
Because
so.
people are always like, "Oh, horse owners don't take care of like racehorse owners. They don't take care
Yeah.
of their horses." But those horses cost more than like a really nice house.
Mm.
They take care of the horse. They do not want that horse to get put down.
Yeah, and you can buy my new book, The Horse You Thought You Knew, on Amazon for the low price of $12.99.
Can you write it?
I can write it in a week.
You
Chat
can't use
GPT.
you
No, I'm just
can't
kidding.
use chat. I was just about to be like, you're
No,
canceled. AI.
but Venice AI sponsor us.
Oh my god.
I do. I use Venice. I don't use chat. They don't pay me to say that. All right, but seriously, how much do you make for winning races, and would it be enough for you to pay $85K to clone it? Because there are some people out there who have around money and could easily spend the amount just for funsies. And after a quick Google search, I found that the winner of the Kentucky Derby wins 3.1 million. So yes, it would in fact be worth it. But then I got curious if it's legal to use a cloned horse in the Derby. Google said the legality of using cloned horses in the Kentucky Derby is a complex issue. While cloned horses have been allowed to compete in Olympic sports and other equine competitions, they are not permitted in the thoroughbred racing due to the Jockey Club's rules. The American Quarter Horse Association has also banned cloned horses from its registry. However, the Texas court ruling has opened the door for cloned horses to be accepted into AQHA's breed registry, which could potentially allow them to race in the Kentucky Derby. The Jockey Club maintains that the decision in the AQHA case does not affect their current rules for registering thoroughbreds.
Okay, so they have to qualify basically to get to the Derby. So they just need one place to let them in.
Yeah,
before they
I
can get to the
think.
Derby.
I think so. I think
I
that's
don't know
my
about horse
understanding of it.
racing. Like I feel like horse racing is very above my tax
Yep.
bracket. So okay. So my thing is you can clone pets,
Yeah.
you can clone horses. You could probably clone livestock because I don't think there's real. Well, no, because if you're feeding people,
Yeah. Ew. I'm sure they do. They probably do that, and we just don't know about it.
cloned livestock.
Yeah, we probably get cloned meat. Probably. Honestly, we probably do.
I mean,
Okay, so Viagen's cloning process is based on somatic cell nuclear transfer technology, and they have used this technology to successfully clone pets, equine, and even endangered species, which I think is cool. The SCNT technology is the same technology that was used to clone Dolly the sheep. And if you've heard about cloning, you have probably heard about Dolly the sheep. She's pretty famous. I have a little image of cloning of Dolly the sheep, and I'll add it in the YouTube video. So, Dolly the sheep was the first animal to be cloned from adult somatic cell, which was a huge milestone in the genetic science world. Somatic cells are the cells that make up the majority of an organism's body, including tissues and organs, but they are excluding gametes, which are sperm and egg cells. They are diploid, which means they have two sets of chromosomes, one set from mom and one set from dad. In humans, we usually have 46 chromosomes into 23 pairs. And if you remember learning about mitosis in high school, these cells undergo mitosis and split into two identical cells, and that's what helps us grow and helps us with tissue repair. Everyone thinking back now, coming back to you a little bit. We had to make a cake with the cells. A cell cake? You all ever made that? No.
No, they just made us memorize it.
Was it the cells? I feel like it had like ribose and we had to make it out of candy.
No.
A nucleus in it.
A cake?
Yeah, a
Like you
cake with
baked it?
yeah, we had to bake a cake with like a nucleus and mitochondria and all of that
You just
stuff.
you baked the cell. Like the
Yeah, and then we put candy on top of it and we had to label it like this is the nucleus, this is the blah blah blah.
they gave us a PowerPoint and said good luck.
No, we made a cake and
Did
then
you take
each week a
in
different
high school or
person,
college?
high school.
AP Bio does not let you bake a cake.
Each week a different person would bring in the cake that they had made. And during this time period, it was whenever Scary Movie came out, where the guy's like, "Take my strong hand." You remember?
No.
Take my strong hand. He's got a weird wonky hand. I don't want to say.
Cancel her right
No,
now.
I will add that in because he's had the. I'm not gonna cut that out. If you've seen the movie, you know. But his strong hand is not a strong hand; it's a weak hand. And he stirs the mashed potatoes at the table with his hand, and everyone's like, my germs," and then he puts his hand in and it's like, "My germs," and then nobody eats the mashed potatoes. You all know what I'm talking about. But so in high school, we all loved that movie, right? So we're all like, my germs, jokingly to the cake that I made. And then I don't want to say a kid that didn't shower in
Oh
school, not
no.
because he didn't own a shower. He did own a shower. He just didn't prefer to shower. But anyways, he comes over and he's like, he, my germs. When I know he ain't washed his hands and who knows how long. And I'm a little weird about germs. So I did not eat my own cake after that. I was like, nope,
I don't
that's
do potlucks because
because you
I'm weird.
never know.
So I'd already barely like eat food I cook. So
Dolly was created from an experiment at the Roslin Institute and was born on July 5th, 1996, just a couple months after I was born. Coincidence? I'm just kidding.
were
That
you
I don't know
cloned?
how that could have anything to do with me.
Who'd they clone you from?
Couldn't have anything to do with me. So Dolly was not the first animal to be cloned in general, though. Any guesses what it was? Did
I
you
can
read
see
it?
the answer.
Gabby read it. All right, you all guess. I'll give you a few seconds. All right, ready? A tadpole in the 1950s. In 1952, Robert Briggs and Thomas King placed embryonic cells from a northern leopard frog into an egg where the nucleus had been removed. In 1963, the first fish was cloned by inserting the DNA of a male carp into a female carp egg. Biology is so cool.
I want to clone something.
It's cool. Like, it's also a little scary because I'm a little religious and it's kind of like you're playing God, kind of, but also kind of not. I don't know.
Like, okay, so you know how people are like, some people are super against IVF, which is so weird. I don't
No,
know.
that's weird to me too. I don't
So
know why people would be against it.
I know it's because it's not like you're making it from like a clone thing. You're making it from
No,
I.
you're literally just you're helping the process that already naturally happens. You're just kind of helping it happen.
But also, you know how there's so many ethical issues with surrogacy that can come up and arise, and then also legal issues with surrogacy.
What
Because
do you mean?
so
Like,
sometimes parents can abandon the babies with the surrogate, or the
yeah,
surrogate
or
can
the
refuse
can
to
get
give up
or the
the
surrogate can
baby.
get pregnant by someone else and then like grow a whole. I've seen that happen
Side
where
by
they
side.
thought that it was the couple's baby and it was actually
So surrogacy can have a lot of complexity that goes along with it. So then, what do you think of those external, you know,
factors.
the external uterus essentially, where you could just grow
Oh,
the baby,
I
and then
didn't know
how would
that
that?
was the thing.
Well, it's a possible. It could be a possible thing. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
but then you also get into the thing like in an external uterus, so baby's not hearing
Mom,
heartbeat or
yeah.
like talking or stuff like that. So then you also have to consider how much does that come into play with like,
How it
like
connects with
yeah,
a
does
mother. See, there's a lot of complexities once you start
there's a lot there. I
messing
do
around with.
I don't I support IVF. Like I don't think
I feel like
Cloning, I'm kind of iffy about. Kind of, not really.
I
It
wouldn't want to
just
clone a
depends.
person.
Yeah, it just depends. Like cloning for endangered species, I think that that's super cool, personally. As long as the species was endangered because of man. Like, I don't think we should bring back. Now, part of me does think we should bring back, like, saber toothed tigers and woolly mammoths, but those went extinct because of environmental circumstances naturally, whereas like the passenger pigeon went extinct because we hunted them to extinction, not because of their environment, but because of man. So hypothetically speaking, if we want to bring back the passenger pigeon through cloning, which has I know it was in the process. I don't know if it has been done yet, but I know we were doing it. Then I support that because we're the ones who made it extinct. It does still have an environment that it can survive in. Where the fuck is the woolly mammoth gonna live?
I would like to interject and say I think we should bring back the woolly mammoth and the saber tooth and then all of my favorite dinosaurs. And then we make Jurassic Park. That's where it's going to
Because
live.
that's never went badly.
Well, no, we watched the documentary, so we know what to avoid.
We've learned.
No, we know what to avoid. Like, so we could just bring
Just
it.
don't put
We should
in
also bring back the
frog
Meg.
DNA. That's what we've learned.
We bring back the Meg. Just spice it up a little bit. Um,
That would scare me. Like, I'm all for. I like to scuba dive, but that. Sharks freak me out.
well, I'm just gonna tell you, when you scuba dive, you're
I know. And
more likely to see one than if you didn't.
part of me when I'm scuba diving, like I'll look around and part of me wants to see a shadow in the distance so I can get that like spooked feeling, and I can be like, oh, is that a whale? Is that a shark? And I want to be like a little scared. And then part of me knows that I would shit my wetsuit if I looked over and actually saw a shark. But when I was little, I watched Jaws, and in the bathtub, I don't know why, but I kept thinking a shark was going to swim up through the bottom of the bathtub.
Same.
You thought that too?
Yeah.
I wonder, because like logically, that can't happen.
My thing to this day, which is really bad, you guys are gonna be like, she's insane. Okay, so when I close my eyes to wash my face in the tub or the shower or
Get a
even
little
a
scared.
pool, I'm like, oh, every time you close your eyes, you're actually transported to the middle of the ocean and there is a shark. So I'll wash my face super quick.
So fast?
To this day, I'm 30 years old, super quick. So, and I'll be like washing half my face with my eye open because I'm like, it can only eat half my body if one eye is closed.
See, I wash my face with my eye open, but that's because I'm looking at a baby monitor, not because I'm like,
Shark's about to eat me.
shark in the water.
I'm insane.
But, anyways, so Gab wants to bring back dinosaurs. We need to question her. We need to watch her. If we ever make her a billionaire, we need to watch her closely.
I would never be a billionaire because all my money would be going towards the dinosaurs.
That's what that is my exact point. She's going to turn into the next owner of Jurassic World. Okay, so 1979, the first genetically identical mice were created by splitting mouse embryos and implanting them into the wombs of adult female mice. Next, there was sheep and cattle cloning that used the same embryonic technique as the tadpole. And then there was Dolly. In the case of Dolly, embryologist Bill Ritchie took a single mammary cell from a 6-year-old ewe.
You.
I put in parentheses. I put in parentheses after I spelled it. Pronounced you. Because I knew that Brenna would say ew. And I did. Even though I have it written right here. Whew. Okay. So, and ewe is an adult female sheep. And he fused this mammary cell to a second sheep's fertilized egg. This fertilized egg had been stripped of its DNA. So they got all the DNA out. They put this egg into a surrogate mother. Ritchie had performed this same exact procedure over 400 times before, and they were unsuccessful. So he only had one surviving embryo, number 6LL3, that was actually carried to full term. All the previous animals had been born and then had passed, but not Dolly. Dolly was 7 months old when the news blew up from being published in the Sunday paper. Fun fact, how did Dolly the sheep get her name? Gabby knows because she's reading probably ahead. Well, as previously mentioned, Dolly was created by moving the nucleus from an adult cell into an egg with its nucleus removed. Dolly was derived from a mammary gland cell. Do we know what mammary glands are?
Boobies.
Tatas.
Mammals.
Who has the most impressive pair of glands?
No way.
Miss Dolly Parton.
She did.
Bazinga! Sorry. I can't believe that's true, but alas, it is.
Jolene is my favorite karaoke song.
Dolly sends Gus a book every month. If you have children, and is it only around here or is it everywhere?
I think it's everywhere. I've never heard limitations, but I've lived in
Yeah.
Kentucky for quite a while now.
You all should look up Dolly Parton and books. It'd probably pop up immediately. She will send your child a free book once a month. I don't know when they age out of it.
I think it's 7 or 6 or 7. It's like,
yeah.
or maybe 5, because I know Joya is aged out of it, so 5.
But regardless, that's a lot of books. That's 12 books a year times 5. Gus started getting one the month he was born.
The cool thing, though, is you can, like, donate all of those afterwards and keep it going, because I just donated tubs of books, because Joya tested into her chapter books, and to, like, a mom that we met at the trampoline park.
I really want...
She had a 3-year-old.
One day when I get money to buy one, I really want one of those little neighborhood book sharing things that go out in the yard. I want one of those so bad for my area, because the area that I live almost said where I live. I'm not telling y'all, even though I wore it in a t-shirt. But
I will sponsor it. Let's do that. That'd be so cute.
I think it would be adorable. Okay. Cloning is the process of creating a genetically identical copy of a cellular organism. Throughout history, when people think of cloning, they automatically think about playing God, which is what I mentioned earlier. Creating something unnatural, it makes people uneasy. But what a lot of people don't understand is that cloning can and does happen naturally in nature. For example, identical twins. That is cloning.
It's when it splits.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is actually relevant.
Go ahead.
I hate to interject, but okay. So this lady, she had like 15-month-old twins, and I was on TikTok the other day, and she was like, me finding out I was pregnant when I had 15-month-old twins playing in the toilet. But then the story just got wild from there. So after she found out she was pregnant, she was having pain on her left side, and so she goes in for an ultrasound, and there's one egg in like the fallopian, like one embryo in the fallopian tube, and one in her uterus. That's bad.
Yeah.
So she had to go in and get that removed, the fallopian tube with the embryo, because that could kill her.
Yeah.
And then she goes in for her ultrasound, and the embryo, like the one in her uterus, split. So now she's having identical. I was
Two
like,
sets of twins.
I don't remember her user, but my sister-in-law reshared it, and girl, it was a wild ride from start to finish. But luckily,
2 sets of identical twins too.
yeah, and she is having, like, I think she has them by now, but she continued with a healthy pregnancy, which is good news. But wow.
And identical twins aren't genetic. I'm pretty sure identical twins, I don't want to say are a fluke, but like, you know, people are like, oh, twins run in the family. Fraternal twins genetically run in families. I'm pretty sure. It could be switched.
That
but
sounds
I don't think
right
it is.
to me, but I haven't thought about it in a long time.
Fraternal twins, I'm pretty sure, are the ones that, like, okay, genetically speaking, you're more likely to have them if they're in your family. Identical twins are just like, oh, it decided to split. So they're not, you know, like, you're not more likely to have them if they're already in your family. I'm pretty sure.
That's wild. I would be not
statistically speaking, having 2 sets of identical twins, that's
crazy. Well, maybe the first ones weren't identical. I don't remember, but I think it said so in her bio. Either way, she has 2 sets of twins, and that's crazy.
That would be crazy. Identical twins. We don't think of it when someone mentions clones, or at least I don't think of clones. Or when someone's like, oh, I have identical twins, I don't think that is cloning.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very good example of it. Genetically speaking, I said that weird. Genetically speaking, identical twins are the exact same, but their personality traits can vary greatly, which that opens up a whole conversation in itself about nature versus nurture when it comes to cloning your pets. Your pet might genetically be the same in the sense that identical twins are, but those identical twins are still 2 very different human beings, even when being raised in the same household, in the same environment. They might share a lot of similarities, but they are not the same person. That reminds me of something. I watched a documentary called Three Identical Strangers, and I suggest everyone watch it because it was so good. But it's about a set of triplets that were separated at birth, unbeknownst to their parents, and they were adopted out to three separate families. So the adopted parents did not know that their children had siblings out there. It was a government study, and it wasn't just this set of triplets, it was multiple sets. So they took them from their mothers. I'm sure they probably told the mother, like, yeah, we'll put them in the same home, blah, 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 blah. Set them up into three different families: a lower class family, a middle class family, and a higher class family, so they could do studies on them. Anyways, that in itself is crazy that the government used to do shit like that. But
Oh, wait till I tell you about Puerto Rico birth control trials.
that's an episode. No.
It could be. It's terrible.
So, whenever the boys grew up, they ended up finding each other. I don't want to ruin the. You really should watch the documentary. It is so good. But the boys were raised separately in different homes, but they grew up to all do the same sports. They smoked the same brand of cigarettes. They liked the same music. So many similarities. They eventually found each other when they went to college. Kind of heartwarming, kind of sad. One triplet does end up being depressed because of the home environment that he grew up in.
Was which one?
Middle class.
Middle class makes you depressed?
No, having a father that's not very loving, that
Okay.
doesn't show you affection.
Wow.
And the one that was like the happiest, or I don't want to say the one that was the happiest, whenever the boys all got to know each other and bonded, they would all go and hang out at the lower class family's home because it was like the most loving and the most welcoming out of all
That's
of them.
usually how that goes, yeah.
Mm. Whirlwind of emotions. But, anyways, my point is, even though that study is super messed up that they did that, um, yeah, they were all raised in completely different environments. They all were very similar, but it's not the same.
Also, I said Puerto Rico birth control. I think that was private, but it's the Tuskegee syphilis trials, where they gave syphilis to a bunch of black men and to see. Okay, you don't know about that? Okay, I'll cover that in an episode. It's messed up, but it happened.
History is
Not great.
it's
The
a lot.
government. And the
The
next time you think the
government.
government wouldn't do that, oh yes, they would.
And this was like recent too. The study on the triplets was very recent. Like, I mean, they're alive,
Damn.
some of them, but that's neither here nor there. One of them, yep.
No way.
Yeah, it's a lot. So you should watch it. You would find it very interesting.
No, I'd be sad.
I bought it on DVD because it intrigued me so much. So, cloning in nature can be seen in vegetative reproduction, binary fission in bacteria, parthenogenesis in certain animals. It's a lot more common than one would think. There are certain species of animals, sometimes reptiles and sometimes insects, that can reproduce through parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is a form of asexual reproduction. This means self impregnation in the production of a zygote from an unfertilized egg. Reproduction without fertilization.
That sounds so fun though. Like you could just
You
clone
could just,
yourself.
yeah,
Like I don't need a man.
make
I
a
can
little
actually
mini
just
you and just bloop.
remember on
Pop it
Big
right
Bang
out.
Theory. That's how they were like. That's how Sheldon reproduces.
Oh my gosh. So, a virgin birth, if you will. We see parthenogenesis in both plant species and animals. With animals, you're going to see examples of it in scorpions, mites, water fleas, wasps, occasionally bees, nematodes, some fish, some reptiles, and sometimes a couple bird species. The black-tipped shark, the bonnet-head shark, and the zebra shark have been observed using parthenogenesis, which is very cool. I also have another image that you all are going to be able to see, and I'll pop it up here right now, that just kind of goes over fertilization, cloning, and parthenogenesis so you can see the difference in the three. But the thing with parthenogenesis in animals is that even though the offspring is getting all of its DNA only from its mother, it isn't always a perfect clone. It is genetically very similar, but there can still be genetic differences due to meiotic recombination and segregation, along with mutations playing a small role. It is essentially as close as you can get to a clone without another parent being involved.
The species that can do that though, are they sexual? Is there sexual dimorphism? Like, are they different, like male and female, or are they just gender non-specific?
I honestly don't know.
Because it'd be so funny if they were sexually dimorphic and then they're like, I don't need you, bro.
Are you talking about the frogs that can like become male and then can become female just when they're feeling froggy?
Well, yeah, but the ones that are like
Feeling froggy. Parthenogenesis.
Jesus, I just had a stroke. But yeah, the animals that could do that, like the zebra. You said zebrafish, right?
The zebra shark.
Zebra shark, yeah. Are they like sexually dimorphic?
I don't know. Google that. That's a good question.
Are zebra sharks sexually dimorphic?
Why didn't I think about that whenever I was writing this episode?
Because that's what your co-host is for. Just ask. Yeah, they're sexually dimorphic. Although this is primarily identified through anatomical structures rather than dramatic differences in size or color.
I didn't even think about that.
So they're oviparous, and unlike some other shark species, they do not show significant differences in body shape, such as a specialized neutral hump in females. Interesting.
That one fish that can change if there's not a lot of males around, or no, if there's not a lot of females around, they can just become female. I'm thinking about a fish in the ocean that has a really big knot on its head.
Oh.
And it changes from male to female. And it's got really big teeth.
But clownfish, they are protandrous hermaphrodites. So all are born male but can change into female.
What is
like this one?
That is so cool.
What's the humpfish?
Yeah, let's look at that one.
Is a horn on its head?
A big lump.
Lumpfish?
Sexual. The green humphead parrotfish? Maybe?
Can I see this? What?
This is the one that looks most like.
Oh, he's so cutie patootie.
What I saw.
Put that on screen for them one day. I love fish. Aquatic ecology and marine biology were like my absolute favorite classes.
Can it change from male to female? I'll probably Google that off screen.
It's worth a Google.
Off episode. I'll look that up off episode. If it can, then you'll still be watching this. If it can't, cutting it all out.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Okay, so where were we at? We were talking about parthenogenesis.
Yeah, it's when I asked, are they sexually dimorphic? Because you messed up that one sentence, and now we're at it essentially.
Oh, yeah. I messed up that one sentence, but you all won't know because I cut it out and I reset it.
I'll tell you.
And that's why I was kind of giggling when I said that sentence. We went from being serious to me being like, hee.
I'll comment it. You guys will know.
Hee.
I'll have the raw footage for you.
I'll block Gabby.
You would.
It is essentially as close to
We're cooked.
That's the sentence I messed up on. I redid it. Okay. So, automictic parthenogenesis will produce very similar offspring, but not perfect clones. Apomictic parthenogenesis does produce true clones. It is seen in some animals like stick insects and some mites, but it's mostly seen in plants. In plants, the process is called apomixis. There is no genetic shuffling with apomixis. I'm probably not saying that right. It's okay though. But that's why there's perfect clones, is there's no genetic brouhaha. This egg does not go through meiosis, therefore leaving the DNA unchanged. So there can be clones with parthenogenesis, but not always. Binary fission in bacteria is another type of asexual reproduction. There is a single organism that grows around twice its size, and then it splits into two identical daughter cells. Each of these daughter cells carries a copy of the parent cell's genetic material, which is DNA. In order for this to be successful, the daughter cells to be viable, the bacterium has to divide at the exact right time, place, and each offspring needs a complete copy of its essential genetic material. You see this type of reproduction a lot for prokaryotic organisms, including bacteria, cyanobacteria, and
archaea.
Yeah. I knew I was going to struggle with that word. I also have another little image there that you all will be able to see on the YouTube.
Ooh, squiggly lines.
Squiggly lines. In the image above, we see chromosomes duplicated in 1. 2 and 4 is chromosome segregating. 5 is the septum forms in the middle of the cells. 6 shows 2 cells being reproduced.
I'm about to sneeze. I'm going to try really hard not to.
Let it out. Aren't you supposed to say like bananas? It makes it go away.
Bananas? No, just made my nose itch more. Oh, God.
I thought that was a
Whew,
thing.
I
I was
lived.
wrong.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. You can let it out.
No.
Before the binary fission can begin, the cell has to copy its DNA and then segregate it into the opposite ends of itself. There's a type of cell division machinery that assembles itself at the future division sites so that the division splits the cytoplasm but doesn't actually damage the DNA. All right, there are 2 ways to make an exact genetic copy of an organism in the lab. The first way to make a clone in a laboratory environment is through artificial embryo twinning. Put simply, it is the process of replicating the natural process that creates identical twins in nature. So, out in the wild, twins are created during the very early stages in development within the first few days after the egg and sperm combine, when an embryo forms and then splits in 2. During this time period, the cells inside the embryo are still unspecialized cells. The embryo continues developing like they're supposed to, and they develop into 2 different human beings, but they are completely identical in DNA because they came from the same fertilized egg. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. With artificial embryo twinning, it is basically the exact same thing except it's happening inside a petri dish instead of inside a womb. They take an embryo in the very beginning stages, separate it into 2 or more multicellular embryos since the cells are still unspecialized, and then boom, the cells begin to divide on their own and develop for a little while before being placed back into the mother's womb, surrogate mother, whatever, and then they finish growing into a baby, making them genetically identical.
Ooh.
I will add that this method is mainly used in animals and is known to be ethically restricted and prohibited in humans in many countries.
Wasn't there a doctor that got into trouble for clone twins or something like that?
I don't know, but that's probably where that laws are made because someone tried it at one point in time. So I feel like that's probably the case.
Yeah, China jails gene edited baby scientist for 3 years because he altered the genes of a set of twins to give them. So he altered the embryos of twin girls to make them resistant to HIV, which doesn't sound. Well, it's not cloning, but I guess
What?
you can't gene edit children,
Yeah,
babies.
I feel like that's a lot. That would be an entire episode in itself discussing
Gene editing.
gene
We should do a
editing.
collaborative episode on that one.
We
Like we write
should.
it together because like I
That
feel like
would
it'd
be
be
good.
wacky.
I'm here for it. We're going to do that. Look for that in the future. So, the second method to create a genetic copy of an organism in a lab is called somatic cell nuclear transfer, which we've already talked about.
Yeah, this is the one I knew.
Yep. It's also called, well, I've mentioned it a few times as SCNT and nuclear transfer. This is the method that was used to create our bestie, Dolly the sheep. To understand this method, I'm going to break it down a little bit. As previously mentioned, a somatic cell is literally any cell inside of our bodies that is not a sperm cell or an egg cell. Any cell that is not a germ cell or reproductive cell. Germ cells are haploid and have half a set of chromosomes, at least in mammals, whereas every somatic cell has 2 complete sets of chromosomes and is diploid. The nuclear part of this transfer is referring to the nucleus. The nucleus is what holds all the cell's DNA, which is divided into chromosomes. The transfer occurs by taking a somatic cell from the specimen, for example, Dolly the sheep, and then they will take an egg cell, remove the nucleus, which removes all the DNA, and then take the nucleus from the somatic cell and place it inside the egg cell. The egg cell will develop into an embryo and is placed into the intended mother. With the second method, the clones are identical in nuclear DNA. However, they are not 100% because you will have some mitochondrial DNA from the egg donor. Biology is never perfect. It is messy for the most part. There are often mutations, and you don't often get the perfect DNA replication. When cloning pets, this is the method that is used. So, just like Dolly wasn't an exact clone, your pet would not be an exact clone either. I will say it is a very cool process, though. The vet will take a sample from your fur baby, usually 2 to 4 millimeter skin biopsy of the ear, maybe the abdomen. The sample gets sent off to a lab of your choosing, depending on which company you use. They grow the cells from your baby's sample. The cells multiply and then they preserve them cryogenically. Then they will take a donor egg from another animal, remove its nucleus, perform a nucleus transfer, send a small electrical pulse or chemical stimulation to fuse the nucleus to the donor egg. Bada bing, bada boom, now your baby is in a surrogate mother to be carried for full term. In this entire time researching, I didn't ever take into consideration that when you're cloning your pet, it has to be carried by a surrogate mother.
Yeah. The other thing is, do people do this while their pet is still alive? So then potentially you could have the clone grow up with the other pet so that it kind of mimics the behavior.
I
That's
don't know, but that is a thought.
because
But then you're
are they
going to keep
taking
having to.
the genetic material after it already died? Which I don't know.
I don't know if they do it right after your pet's dead or
So
if they.
my episode on cryogenic freezing, the reason, well, it's controversial for a lot of reasons,
Yeah.
but some people want to do it before, like while they're slipping from life, versus
Which,
like when they're fully dead, which
yeah,
is how it
which
would have
makes
to work.
sense. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know if some people do it while their fur baby's alive or if they wait until after they've passed.
I wouldn't clone Booker because Booker, he's kind of weird. Um, so I just feel like the weirdness they might clone too much.
It would only be the weirdness that
Just be the
transfers to
weirdness.
the new
I
animal.
love Booker to death, and I feel like he's partially human, but like
Still.
I don't know. I don't know.
I love my animals, but nope.
Steve
Scuba,
said
though,
you'd clone him. Would you? Would it take away from
even
the
if it wouldn't be,
specialness?
yeah, would it take away from
It
the
would, I
special
think.
bond?
Because a huge part of what makes Booker unique is that he's Booker and he's my soul dog. And then if I could just replace my soul dog with
Then
like
it's not your soul
a
dog.
cheap knockoff, well,
Not
expensive
cheap.
knockoff, it would take away from
if,
these.
if it could still look just like Scuba, though. But then what if it didn't let me pet it?
Yeah, it would hurt your feelings
It
more,
hurt
wouldn't
me
it?
so bad.
Because you look at it and be like, oh, well, Booker would have done this, but you're doing that. Or Scuba would have let me
Yeah.
hold him and you don't like to be
Yeah,
held.
Scuba liked to lick my cheek while I was falling asleep with his rough ass tongue, and
Yeah, cat tongues are weird.
they're rough, but I still let it happen
That's nice.
because I was his mama.
I just feel like it would cheapen the connection that you had with the original pet, which I
Yeah,
feel like that would hurt more in a sense.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It almost makes me want to find someone who has cloned their baby and be like, "Hey, does it act just like your other animal acted, or
Yeah.
just see and test it out?" I am gonna say this, and maybe I am wrong, but when it comes to animals being surrogates, as far as carrying the baby itself, they don't have a say in the matter. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like in humans, surrogates volunteer, and then the majority of surrogates enjoy being pregnant, or else they wouldn't like. Well, I guess some. I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
baffling.
But the majority of surrogates enjoy being pregnant, and of course there is consent when you have
Yeah.
surrogates. Animals can't give you their consent
Well, animals can't consent to animal testing, but we do it all the time.
all the time. And then like where are we getting donor eggs and stuff from? We're pulling them from other animals. I don't know. It gets a little dicey to me,
Yeah.
kind of. But like, let's say you introduce an orphan puppy to a dog mom who's already nursing, and she takes it in as her own. That's totally fine to me because there is consent. She's letting it happen. But then you're opening up a whole nother can of worms because you can go into breeding of animals and how they can't consent to that. That's another thing. Whenever you breed dogs and stuff, they aren't consenting. I don't know. It goes into a whole thing. Then it becomes like Legally Blonde 2, trying to get Bruiser's mom.
Did not watch Legally Blonde too. Sorry.
Bruiser's mom's in animal testing for makeup products,
Oh.
and Elle tries to save her.
Is this why everyone grew up thinking that's how you animal test? You just put the makeup on the dog?
On the dogs. Probably.
Oh my god.
Probably.
I still actually don't 100% know how they animal test,
Mhm.
so.
I don't know. And like, who am I to say what's morally right and wrong? You all, everybody form your own opinions. But that's one thing that would kind of make me like,
I just think if we just start cloning anything all willy nilly, because it starts with pets, and then they're like, "Well, my son died."
it gets a little murky really
I just
fast.
cloning a human would bring up the same thing as a dog. Does it cheapen the human experience if you could simply just replace them? But then they'd have to
Yeah.
grow up, and the human lifespan takes way longer than just a dog, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like when there was this movie or something that went over it where this person had a kid with who was ill, terminal, and so they grew another kid to get the organs.
They literally had another baby just so they could use the stem cells to
Was that a
help their.
movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now before we end this episode, I do want to touch on what cloning could mean for the future. Dun dun dun.
Ooh.
I'll do a little swirl effect or something there. Okay, so should we be scared of clones? How much of my DNA is needed for someone to clone me? Have we cloned humans? Is it morally okay to clone a human?
Do we need consent to clone someone, or we could just get a little spit swab?
Can we
Just
get
clone
weird
'em?
with it? Can I just pick up your bubble gum out of the trash can and then ancestry DNA?
Ooh,
That's why a
actually.
lot of people don't want to send in ancestry DNA because they're like they're gonna use it. No one wants to clone you, respectfully.
Damn.
Nobody wants to clone me either. You know,
I'd clone you. Just have like a pocket Bren.
I was gonna say, do what with
You
me?
just be like my friend. You just be around.
A pocket Bren.
Yeah.
That
Just
makes
be
me
hanging out.
that makes me think of a.
Oh my god.
We might edit that out. All right. As of right now, there is no scientific evidence to back up any claims that a human has ever been cloned successfully. That is not to say that it's never happened, but we don't know about it if it has. I would put money on it that we have done it.
They just haven't brought it up
They
yet.
just haven't. We ain't gonna know about it because we're civvies. What do they call it? If you're civilians,
Yeah.
if you're like in the military but not in the military, whatever. You all know what I mean. We have successfully cloned the first human embryo. Yeah. That happened a while ago in 2001, which also makes me think like if that happened in 2001, we've cloned humans.
Probably. Like
Yep.
some random person, prisoners of war. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
experiment on prisoners of war anymore, right? Because it's Geneva Convention, right? Because I
Right.
feel like people did that in World War II. Well, they did do that. We did a whole episode on that, but right?
Right? I don't know.
Surely they
I don't
don't.
know.
I hope they don't.
I don't know.
Oof.
The American scientists made sure to add that it was only for therapeutic purposes only. What does that mean? Like, did they use the stem cells or maybe something for like someone's cancer? I don't
Well,
know.
if they clone the embryo, what do they do
They
with
cloned
it?
the embryo. The most developed of the cloned embryos grew to 6 cells after it was cultured for a week, according to the paper U.S. Scientists Clone First Human Embryo in the National Library of Medicine. The paper goes on to say that 2 of the 8 somatic nuclei divided into just 4 cells. To harvest stem cells for medical use, an embryo would need to reach a minimum of 64 cells.
Oh, okay.
So I guess they were doing it just to kind of fuck around, find out, see what happens if they could use stem cells.
Just to kind of like fix certain issues, maybe.
Yeah, their goal with this cloning, their goal with this cloning process was to create therapies for certain conditions like diabetes, stroke, cancer, AIDS, Parkinson's, etc. So the rules with cloning human embryos are tricky, though. There is no single federal law that says we can't do it. But many states do have laws that ban human reproductive cloning or creating clones of human embryos. Federal funding is also restricted in this matter. Several other countries have banned human reproductive cloning as well, like Australia, Canada, Germany, and there are more. As we continue to learn every day in the US, though, just because something is illegal doesn't mean is it happening behind closed doors.
Dun dun dun.
Especially if you have enough money to fund it. Dun dun dun. Again, I was diving into the Epstein files while I was writing this episode. So
Watch Into the Shadows.
That's why I ended it.
He's been into so much of the Epstein files. Like, he's been going over like how it happened and stuff like that. It's crazy.
I'll have to watch it. Anyways, that's the episode.
Thanks for watching.
Peace out.
Leave that in.